Hi, today I'm going to be reviewing Drawing the Heads and Hands by Andrew Loomis. Hi, my name is Escobar. I'm a storyboard artist from the Simpsons television show. I've been working on the show for over 25 years now, and I'm here to empower you. So today I'm going to be talking about Drawing the Heads and Hands with by Andrew Loomis. This is just my book review, and so one of the things about Andrew Loomis's books is that they're in the public domain, so you could actually get PDFs of it down if you could find them online. It's actually way better to actually have the print copy, and you can buy the print copy for extremely reasonable prices on Amazon because they have done reprints, and I believe the Drawing with Heads and Hands book, you could buy it fairly inexpensively over at Amazon for like $28, something like that. Okay, so I don't own a copy of Drawing of the Hands and Hands now that I have said all that. And the reason why I don't own a physical copy is because I've gotten these Walter Foster books over the years. This is number 2, but I've also I have number 1 around here somewhere. And what it basically does is it has exactly the same information in here that the Drawing the Heads and Hands book has. So that's the reason why I don't own a physical copy, because I've kind of got the information in this book, but at some point I'm probably going to end up picking it up. So let's talk about this actual book, and this is what you will get if you either download it or if you buy it. This book will break down heads. It's essentially what it claims to be. It breaks down heads so that you're able to draw the head in Andrew Loomis style. So it breaks it down into the Andrew Loomis construction, which starts off with a sphere, and then you cut it in half with a little. You cut off the sides with this rigmarole, and you're doing all these the proportion lines, and it explains the proportions, things like that. It explains the planes of the head, perspective of the head. This is extremely important stuff. So for all of that, I believe that this book is extremely handy, especially if you're just want some kind of proportion guide. It's really very good. The one thing, and here's the chapter on eyes, and that's all there is on eyes. And this is one of the things that really bothers me about this book. I think there's a lot of really good information in the book, especially here where it breaks down the proportions and it explains the proportions. And yes, this is an idealized figure. If you have this kind of like as a rule, then the idea is that you could break it once you've gotten these kind of notions into your head. The problem with proportions, of course, is that when a character or a person turns their head around and does this sort of thing, well, all this proportion stuff just goes right out the window. So if you're drawing somebody who's looking at you like this all the time, and all the characters are always looking like this, then yes, proportions are perfect. But then when the character's doing this, and what the blazes are you going to do? So that's one of the problems with proportions, and it's one of the reasons why I often don't talk about proportions when I talk about drawing. But this here with heads and planes of the face, it's invaluable information. You really need to know all this stuff. So it's really worth getting for that reason. But if you're trying to draw, say, eyes and mouths, and it's just it neglects it. It's like, here you go. This is about eyes, and that's it. So to me, if you want to get into the nitty-gritty, into the facial features, stuff like that, then you want Bridgman. That's where you want. That's my complete personal taste. I learned more about constructing eyes, noses, mouths, specific features by studying Bridgman much more than by studying Loomis. Loomis is great for proportions and for planes of the face and stuff like that. Bridgman is great for features and understanding how to interlock body parts together and all this other stuff. So this book complements Bridgman, and Bridgman complements this book, and they really work well together. And one other thing is this notion, and that I think is really great, and I think people seem to pass this part up, but this notion of different head types is really handy. And I think people tend to ignore that sort of thing when it comes to drawing heads. And then we have examples of how to use planes of the face, which is, again, extremely important and extremely handy. And so if you want to have like things to draw from, if you want to copy somebody, like these pages of Loomis heads are really great to copy from, just to see how a master actually works within the planes. And then there's some advice on drawing women, and his women are really pretty. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to like learn to draw. And then we got some babies, baby proportions. You got some really cute babies in here, and little kids. And so for any kind of advice on all this stuff, it's worth having. Okay, so here we have the hands chapter, and the hands chapter is actually very handy, no pun intended, as well. He breaks down hands pretty well. Again, this is probably like the best part of the hand explanation, and so is this here, these 2 pages. And then the rest, maybe here, this page 2, the rest tends to be a little, again, I would rather go to Bridgman than Loomis in this part. And there's also, I have another book that's just on hands that I think is still a little bit better. So there's some good tips to be had from this book on hands, but it is not as thorough as say the faces, and even the faces, again, there are things about the information here that seems like he's skipping over way too much information. And I've tried doing the Loomis construction method, and it doesn't work very well for me, but I do appreciate his proportion charts and his planar heads and things like that. So for me, this is a really good book to have as a complement, and complemented with George Bridgman's book on drawing heads or drawing the body, the anatomy. Yeah, I could recommend this book. I think that it is worth having and worth looking over and studying. But it does have its flaws, and it does skip way too much. For me, personally, my biggest issue is that we've got this how to break down a head, and it's like you do this, and then magic, you get a head, and it's like, wait, what? Huh? What? It's one of those things where it and then magic, you put the face together at the end, and now you have a head. That's what bothers me about it. It doesn't break down noses, mouths, eyes thoroughly enough to really be able to get a handle on being able to draw these things. And I think for a head drawing book, you really needed a much more thorough breakdown of these features, which is what Bridgman tends to do better. So that's my 2 cents on drawing the heads and hands by Andrew Loomis. Is it worth getting? It is worth getting. It is worth having. It is by no means the definitive book on drawing heads, but it is extremely helpful for a lot of different reasons, especially drawing the planes and proportions. All right, so that's my review on Drawing the Hands of Hands by Andrew Loomis. I would like to thank my patrons, Aaron Garcia, Ahobo, Anastasia, Bill Fisher, Bill Munier Binney, Brooke Brown, Chanel Winya, Eric Presteman, Eric Salham, Gallo Viking, George Crawford, Heather Hyla Lacefield, Ingrid Hayek, Kent Dirks, Crunch Lynn, Madeline Dupreez, Mary Tarosi, Michael Rasmussen, Paul Nass, Rain, Richard Anthony, Shopping for Noobs, Sterling A. Brooks, Steve Howard, Steve R., Tamaram Cotton, Tim Bazarath, Ulf Meyer. Thank you so much for your support. I really, really appreciate it. And I will see you next time. All right, bye.